Doesn't it seem a little harsh to kill someone over a
Graphics update.
You don't understand. My
Graphics.
is a symbol of my...
Good game design.
And, between you and me...
The lighting is too intense.
Oh,
Nick.
I'm sure it's not that noticeable.
Bloom. 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 Bloom.
Hey my dudes, welcome to Talking Shit, Building Ship. I'm your host Spudcuds, and today we're going to be talking about From the Depths Update 2.2. Apologies for the slightly delayed upload. Every time I want to finish this video, Nick adds something new to the game. Anyhow, we'll be going through a lot of information quickly, so I'll be labeling sections of the video up here, and you can jump to specific points with the timestamps in the description below. So hold on to your hats, because we're about to dive straight into Update 2.2. The most immediately noticeable thing about this update are the brand new GPU waves, which not only look good, but provide immersive water physics and will keep you warm in the winter at the expense of your graphics card. You can disable them in the options menu. Ever played Warframe with full bloom on? Yeah, they added bloom to FTD. So if you want your From the Depths creations to look like they're about to go full supernova, definitely turn bloom on. Shaders everywhere. You cast a shadow, and you cast a shadow. Look under your chairs, you all cast shadows. Yeah, so shadows are a thing now. Blocks are now light reflective, meaning they will reflect the color of the environment. Metal actually reflects so much, you could make functioning mirrors. The reflectivity of blocks can be changed in the paint menu. Explosions, impacts, and flak have gotten a visual upgrade. They look really cool and also got an update to their respective sound effects, most notably with missiles. Various user interface improvements have been added to the game, but currently only apply to the escape menu, missiles, and naval AI. The new menu looks sleek and easy to read. You can customize it however you like, adjusting colors, spacing, and font size. However, I do think pop-ups, such as when a fleet gets blockaded, should be a little easier to click, instead of these buttons for ants. Not only did the user interface get a visual update, but more options were added to the game. Now, you can actually rebind keys in the options menu. Until now, you can only do so in the pre-game launcher. I'd actually recommend immediately rebinding the change vehicle weapons key to period and comma. Why? We'll get to that later. Half-Life, Halo, Dead Space. What do these games all have in common? Flashlights. And now From the Depths does too. It's called the head torch, but this is America. So I'll call it a flashlight. You can activate your flashlight with Shift-L. Several key aspects of the game have gotten completely reworked, and almost don't resemble their pre-update counterparts at all. Automated control blocks didn't just get a rework, they got WWE super slammed inside out. Conditions and outputs are categorized and several features have been added, most notably time of day, within resource zone, propulsion command, amount of engine power in a target, missile and torpedo detection, incoming laser detection, targeted enemy, complex control drives, AI mainframe states, detection components, aim point cards can be set from ACB, activate other ACBs, set PID type, set docking distance, shield color, laser color, route ammo intakes, refinery toggle, steam engine options, spotlights, smoke generators, hologram projector toggle, missile laser emitters. Conditions now have value ranges. Can queue delayed actions, can have a minimum interval between activations, and can be inverted. They can also activate other ACB outputs. ACBs now can also set priority, and logic gates can be created by touching ACBs that have either only conditions or only actions. Wheels have undergone a rework as well. No more sliding into those DMs. Wheels now have traction, adjustable suspension, and hang lower, like my balls. They also feel smooth and comfortable to ride. Oh, and the wheels feel alright too. Turning wheels also provide force now. Turning wheels can now be flipped, useful for rear-mounted turning wheels. Like I mentioned earlier, wheels now have suspension, Adjustable suspension. And we should be expecting tank tracks to make an appearance in the near future. Yep, no more coke lines of wheels to lay down. Missiles are getting a rework, and by none other than Saint Drabba himself. Here are just a few of the things that will be making it into the missile rework and From the Depths. Limiting thrusters to 1 thruster per missile, with few exceptions. New parts, such as the variable and secondary propellers. That's the exception. Missile gauges, enabling the creation of rocket pods and ICBMs. Making missiles more important in combat by increasing damage, reload time, and ammo cost. And too many more amazing things. With these changes to ACBs, wheels, and missiles, I can already see a few things happening, including a meta shift towards missile ships, aircraft, and anything that can shoot missiles down. Mechs, tanks, and other land vehicles might soon also take up a more major role in the game, but we're still midway through the current update wave, so we can expect Nick to throw a lot more changes and bug fixes our way. Speaking of changes and bug fixes, the color of lasers, shields, and particle cannons can now be changed by the main block directly, and no longer require color-changing add-ons. This includes simple lasers. Laser anti-munition systems now also have configurable settings for various things. The map user interface is a little easier to read. Custom jet engines cannot be combustor cheesed as much. Now parts have to be placed in order. Dedicated helicopter blades now have a soft speed limit of 100 meters per second. Not sure if this was a deliberate change or a bug, but seagulls no longer follow players. They will follow where their cameras are. Ammo now regenerates out of play. Hooray! Helium pumps got a buff for use underwater. Local weapon controllers and close-in weapon system controllers have an option to set priority. The game's built-in modding capabilities have been updated a bit. For advanced cannons, firing pieces now have a base cooling equal to 10 coolers, making smaller, faster-firing cannons more viable. There's also a decimal place for setting rate of fire. The way shape charges work has been changed, like, completely. And the kinetic damage of rounds has been rebalanced to be more even. Kicking players from multiplayer servers no longer crashes your game. Apart from these changes to the game, we have a slew of brand new features that have been added, such as poles were added to the game. Think blocks, but round. Mimic blocks were added to the game. These blocks can take the appearance of any other block model and can scale in size. They have no function other than chewing gum and looking pretty, and they're all out of gum. Mimic blocks allow you to make some pretty interesting shapes, such as large radar arrays, plating, 8-meter slopes, and probably some other stuff I haven't seen yet. But speaking of slopes, players can now walk up slopes. Slopes now also have proper hitboxes and can bounce shells at appropriate angles. Blocks can now be named with Shift-N. The names of blocks interact with ACBs, and you can set certain blocks to be unaffected by PIDs by adding no PID to the name. Block highlighting has been added, which shows what blocks are connected and functional and which blocks are not connected and not functional. New debug tools have been added, including EMP, copy-paste, and one that allows you to see the armor value for blocks. Now that's super useful. You can just look at something and see how much armor it has instead of doing a whole bunch of math and trigonometry. Yay! And the telekinesis tool now scales with vehicle size. Several additions to build mode have been made, such as being able to generate cross-sections with the end key, and detection view is now built into build mode. You can cycle through it with the semicolon key. When in a chair, the bracket keys transfer you between seats and vehicles. Unfortunately, these are already binded to changing vehicle weapons, hence me telling you earlier to rebind those keys. Spotlights were added to the game and are extremely useful for the 2 seconds of nighttime that we get on Neater. Motor drive can now be applied to water paddles through the spin block they are attached to. Railings have been added, which are visually the same thing as water paddles, but don't paddle water. They can also be placed on forts and structures. Articulated paddles have also been added, which are like normal water paddles, but only apply force in the forward direction of the vehicle. Now this isn't new, but I recently found out that air vehicles still use fuel when out of play, unless they are low enough altitude to be considered landed. Smoke generators can now change color. Finally, there is a new shell part for cannons, the emergency ejection diffuse. Now some of these features may or may not stay in the game permanently, and we'll probably have a lot more features coming up soon, but it's all something to look forward to. We haven't even got to experience the full force of Update 2.2 yet. So here is some intel on what's coming soon to a From the Depths near you. Shield rework. Complete rework of the AI. Instead of naval, aerial, and land cards, instead, we will have behavior, maneuver, and additional cards. Also, the aim point selection card is going to be completely replaced by something called ultra low band radar, which would work by letting craft kind of see through a few blocks of enemy vehicles to find weak points. It would mean good positioning might expose bad weak points. Steam-powered stealth cram cannons. Yeah, I don't know. Laser melee weapons. Particle accelerator melee weapons. Even bigger ship propellers that are only powered by steam. With more and more things added to the game, bugs, typos, and other unintended features get pretty unavoidable. That's why I'm going to do my part and report on a couple things I found. Multiplayer campaign saves don't work exactly, and the last time I tried to load one, it just didn't do anything. If you place a wheel while you have throttle on, it will think that your throttle is at 0. For example, if I turn my water drive to full, then place a wheel, then bring my water drive to 0, the wheel will be in full reverse. Wheels don't seem to collide at all with other vehicles. Now this is a problem for carriers and runways and such. When uploading vehicles to Workshop, the tags are kind of messed up. The Manage Publish menu of the Workshop menu filled up for me. You know, I don't have that many things on Steam Workshop, but I can't manage them anymore because it just won't let me see them. Also, highlighted blocks are still highlighted in no HUD mode. Lastly, I would just like to mention a few things on my mind for the future of my favorite game. For one, I really hope they implement non-regenerating missiles that do crazy damage. Making missiles a separate resource to manufacture would make them a lot more important to the game and would help reduce missile spam. Making repair bots, ammo and missile production, and shields more like fuel refineries, where you need large, heavy, expensive parts, would, I think, really work with the game. Multiplayer adventure mode. Adjustable terrain view distance. Naming colors. Like, I need to stress how important this is. Naming colors. And please allow us to know what color a specific block is painted. There's been so many times where I have like 50 shades of gray and I just don't know which one coincides to what block. Buttons. Rubber beams. Fixed chairs, please. They're at like this weird awkward height when you sit on them. Lower the position the Rambot is. More complex control keys. Maybe the numpad. Maybe the entire keyboard. Extra info on the load design menu would be visually appealing. Maybe even add multiple fields for name, vehicle type, and how it appears in the RTS build menu. This would just simplify a lot of things. Unclutter the current load menu. No one wants to see these block counts. Or maybe make categories for them, you know, like how Windows has, you know, you go into a Windows folder and you see the name, you see the type, you see the date, you see the, hey, what's the matter with you, huh? So for ACBs, arrow keys should be available for the complex controls. Player presence condition would be nice. Condition for being built on. And to be able to affect the actual height of wheel suspension would be nice. For hologram projectors, it would be nice to have adjustable brightness and alpha, because after the reflection update or the lighting update, after this whole 2.2 business, hologram projectors seem to just be dark. They just get dark. Spin blocks, it'd be nice to have an angle offset, like let's say you have an ACB telling 2 spin blocks to go 30 degrees, but you want one of them to go 45 degrees. What if you just have a 15-degree offset on the physical spin block instead of having to put another ACB? Also, spin block-based delays, like we have on turrets, would be nice. You know, delaying the actual movement of the spin block from the ACB command instead of having to delay the physical ACB. Elevators and rudders need complex control inputs. It would be useful to have left and right side wheels, which would be just convenient for making landing gear, you know, on a sub-object. Otherwise, you have to get the block, you have to mirror the block, you have to copy the mirrored block, and then you have to paste it to wherever you want it to be. Being able to zoom in and out using the binoculars while time is frozen would be very useful. Stop bringing me to my browser whenever I upload anything to Workshop. I don't want to be tabbed out of the game. For campaign, can we please have proper battles with allies? The last time I tried a battle with an ally, it was like White Flares versus me and Onyx Watch, and the Onyx Watch ships were just enemies. They're just enemies. Like, I was at 100 diplomacy with them. They were my best buddies in the world, and then they just tried to shoot me. On that note, bring back diplomacy. But I say we require the trade of physical vehicles, which, you know, you might actually have to fight later on. Although, you know, that does bring the problem of somebody just building wooden bricks and sending them to another faction, and you end up fighting a whole faction just made of wooden bricks. I don't know. But moving through allied territory without penalty would make allies useful. Otherwise, it's just kind of like, oh, we're not going to fight you. That's all. Expanding blockade diameter for larger fleets might also be a nice thing, because it would mean, oh, you have a larger fleet. Oh, you can attack from farther range or whatnot, or keep an enemy at bay. Multiplayer server host menu needs to have planet selection. Ship wheel controls, I think they should just be more like the normal vehicle controller. Switch the HK and the YI, because as soon as somebody transitions from ship wheel to vehicle controller, it's like the controls are completely flipped. It just doesn't make that much sense. I don't know, maybe have the controls remappable manually. It'd also be nice to be able to post save games to Workshop. That would just be cool. Fleet move loops. That's my last thought. Fleet move loops. May I have some loops? Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Did I miss anything or get something wrong? If I did, let me know down below in the comments, and I'll be sure to include that information in the description. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more From the Depths meme content, and have a buoyant day.
Why? Why?